everyone, I'm Nadine. Welcome back to my channel for my art, Nadine Michelle Art. Thank you for being here with me. So if you saw my last video, I'm working on this triptych and it's for my sister. It's gonna be 3 12 by 24 panels. One of the colors sage green, light blue, and gray. I did add some additional colors just for like highlight and cells and things like that. So the look I'm going for took me like several attempts to figure out like what technique I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do a flip cup, but I just didn't know that it would like take me so many attempts to get the look I wanted. But I ended up finding, I'm hoping this is the case with this one too, but watch, it like won't work. We'll see. But what I found that worked the best for the look I wanted is a grenade flip cup, a dirty cup one. I don't know why I thought like the layered one would be fine, but I don't know, it just wasn't coming out right like with the colors I'm using. And honestly, you'll find that sometimes like certain color palettes just will not work for a technique you're trying to do, okay? So there was a time when I was doing, I wanted to do this straight pour, like a Gina DeLuca style one with like the big boulder cells. I had this like color palette in my mind for a while. It was Prussian blue, gold, silver, and ivory pearl. I thought that would be like really pretty and great, and I used the Prussian blue as the base coat, and for whatever reason, like it just will not work for that style. I don't really know why. It just won't. I don't know. And then I saw a video of hers recently, and she said the same thing about the Prussian blue, that she could not get it to work no matter which brand she used. So there's something that just, it won't work for that technique. Fluid art is very much about science and chemistry, so there's just something that makes it not work with that color and the color palette, I don't know. But then I did a flip cup with it and it worked a lot better. So I have a 12 by 24 Artist Loft gallery wrapped canvas. This is the deep edge one. Okay. I have the backs taped with painter's tape to try to avoid as much spillage on the back. I have hooks, okay, on all 4 corners. I use these hooks for leveling my canvas, to raise it off my table, and I also use it for tilting. You just have to pivot your canvas versus holding the whole thing up, which can be very helpful when you have like those really big canvases. Okay, all the colors are the same as my previous video. If you want to know like the pouring medium, the consistency, and how I made some of these colors, because these two are custom mixed colors, I go into detail about that in the first video. So go and check that out if you are interested. Okay. And I'm using the same consistency I did for my previous one as well. But I will show you here. Not a giant one. It's not on a mound, it's a little thinner than that. Okay, so we have a small mound, and then it disappears. Okay, and then I'm using the same exact base color as well. Again, this is a custom mix. If you wanna know how I mix this color, check out my previous video. I talk about it in there, okay? So we're gonna do a grenade flip cup. Okay, so I'm gonna do a dirty pour, which means so I'm gonna do a dirty cup grenade flip cup, which means a grenade flip cup is when you put a pin on the side, okay? And then you're gonna flip it over. And then what should happen, but doesn't like necessarily always, it just depends if your like cup suctions to our canvas really good or not. But what should happen is when you take the pin out, all of your air will release, and therefore your paint will start coming out and it'll start moving, kind of like, it kind of looks like a paint grenade. It's kind of cool. And then the dirty cup part of it, I'm gonna put a color in the bottom, and I'm gonna pour on my other colors from up high. And what that does is the colors will like sink beneath the other colors, and generally you'll get more cells and things like that if it sinks, okay? Alright, so I'm gonna put my base coat color on first, and then I'm gonna fill up my cup. And then we will flip it over. And then we will see what happens. I'm also gonna do some palette knife swipes with it. I've been liking doing that, where I just like take different size palette knives and I'll just swipe through it. I might put some color on it and swipe through it. Or sometimes I'll drag certain things. I don't know, I've been liking how that's coming out, so I might do that as well too. I'm just gonna use probably about 10 ounces because I like to like stretch out my design more, so I don't use like as much paint as I see others using, but you can certainly use more. That's your call. That's just how I like to do it. So yeah, I like to use like less is more for me, and then I like I'll stretch it out more, and that's how you get like some of the lacing and stuff. Okay, we're gonna put on our base coat. Try not to spill any here. Let's see. That's a big jug. Okay. So how I put on my base coat is I just start putting it on there, and you'll see me, and then I just tilt out my canvas. I like it to be like a smooth surface. I don't like bumps and stuff in it, so that's how I do it and why I do it that way. Side was like sticking up, and I leveled it before I started filming. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, if I were to have left that, everything when I pour it would just run off the sides. We don't want that. Okay, so always make sure your canvas is level. Right now I'm just getting all of my edges and sides. You want to make sure they're all wet, because otherwise your paint has a tendency to not want to stick there. Okay, here's my cup, and I'm going to layer it. What I do is I always put my base coat color, I put like a little bit in the bottom, and then when you pour that out, it gives it like a 3D kind of look. Okay, it's really cool. Okay, next I'm going to do our custom dark green, and we're going to pour it from up high. I don't want too much of that because otherwise it'll be too dark, and I don't want it really dark. Okay, and then we're going to do our white. Our gold, any of the Decor metallics or metallics in general, they tend to take over, so you just want to do a little bit. Okay. That might have even been too much. We'll see. Okay. And then this is a Prussian blue. I'm just going to use a little bit. This is just the highlight color. Because again, otherwise it'll be too dark. And that's just not the look I'm going for. Okay. And then light blue. And then gray, but not too much gray. I've noticed this also has a tendency to like, if you use just a little bit, it'll take over at times. Okay, and then white, just a separation layer for the gray. Okay. And then we're gonna repeat that until our cup is full, okay? I put some of my base coat color on the top, and you don't want this to pierce through to the bottom. You just want it to sit on top. So I'm just gently placing it on top there. And I do this because you're more likely to get cells, because like they have something to pop up through. Oh my goodness, I just realized I didn't even torch my base coat. Oh man, you guys. Okay, hold on, we're gonna torch our base coat. That is helpful. Yeah, if you don't torch your base coat, you'll get all these little pinholes, and you don't want that in your dried results. So what you want to do when you flip this over is you're going to hold your elbow against your side here, like by your rib cage. You want to hold the cup with your wrist, not with your hand. You don't want to do it like this. That's how we get paint everywhere, okay? So you want to hold it like this, okay, with your wrist, okay? And you kind of just have to flip it over real fast and not think about it. Okay, I'm very messy, and I've never like flung paint everywhere. So if you do it like this, you won't get paint everywhere. I promise. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Almost a fail, but we got it. Alright, like you don't have to give this a few minutes since we have the pin in our cup. All the air should release, but I just usually do for like, I don't know, good measure or something. So I'm just gonna give it a second. And you also want to let this wait because like you're also giving time for like all of your chemical reactions to take place. I don't know if you guys can see it, but all these cells are forming like they weren't there, and now they are. So if you want like cells, like without using an additive, which is what I do, I just get them naturally with like paint densities and everything. This is one step into how you do that. When I start tilting, I will talk about how I get cells without silicone. I will talk a little about the method that I use to do it. Okay, so we're gonna let our pin out. It may or may not start coming out of the cup on its own, just depends on our suction here. So let's see. So 1, 2, and we're gonna pull our pin out. 3. No, so these ones seem to suction more. Well, that's okay because that's how I got the other one. Like this is how we did it. Alright, I like to do a little lips throughout, so I'm going to do little lips with the cup and wreck it a little. I like to do this because it gives it movement, okay? And you usually pull up a lot more colors, as you can see right there. Okay. Alright, we're going to torch now. Get all of our air bubbles out. There's quite a few there, I can see. So now we're going to start tilting. Okay, so I always tilt pretty slow. Okay, and then I go with the paint, not against it. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And while I do this, I want to talk to you about how I get cells without silicone. Okay, so me personally, you guys, like I don't really care for silicone. That's just me though, like no offense to anybody that uses it, just me for what I like. I don't really care for the look. But again, that's just me, okay? And plus, I don't like all the cleanup that's associated with it. You have to really clean your canvas, like to apply varnish or resin after when you use silicone, okay? Might have to pour another cup, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Okay, so what I do to get cells without silicone is a couple of things. So I generally will use, like, I don't use a super thick consistency. I wouldn't say it's thin though either. It's like in between, but it's kind of on the thinner side, I would say. Okay, and then the next thing, I use different paint brands together. So when you use different paint brands together, you'll get different reactions to occur, okay? That's why I highly recommend not just using all the same paint brand together. Okay, I'm gonna go back to our center, and then I will continue talking. Okay, so in order to get cells, what I do is I always use a opaque, generally an opaque color for my base coat. Okay, and then I use Liquitex 2 paints. Generally Liquitex, just because that's what I have on hand right now. I would definitely use Amsterdam as well if I had those. I just don't have those currently. I always use a golden color, and golden is highly cell reactive. Every time I start just mixing it with the Floetrol, when I'm mixing up my colors, it will start to make cells in the cup. Okay. So then the next thing I do is I always use a Decor metallic. I would say almost every time I'm using a Decor metallic. And those are very cell reactive. Decor metallics are cell makers. Okay, so I always use one of those. Layer, your colors matters, okay? So you don't want to put like all dark colors next to each other, because then you'll have no contrast, okay? And that also goes into making cells. If you put a lighter color next to a darker color, you're more than likely gonna get cells. Okay. So that is what I do to make cells, and there are different like charts that tell you, like, you know, all the opaque colors, all the transparent colors, the semi-opaque, and all their gravities, and they have all their like weights and everything for their gravities. I don't really go that far to look into all that, honestly. I kind of just, I don't know, I wing it most of the time. And I just always use, like I said, a Liquitex 2 paint, golden, and a Decor. And almost every time I get cells. Pretty decent size ones too, I would say. Sure if this one's a keeper yet or not, I'm gonna have to see. But sometimes I can play around with it and make it into what I want. So don't ever like scrape it right away. Stretch it out, see what you can do with it. And if you really can't make it work, then pour another cup. But like there's been times where I've poured it out of like my cup and I'm like, oh no, no, no. But then I go and I stretch it out. And most of the time I can make at least something with it. That wasn't true for this palette. This palette really gave me a hard time. But I figured it out now, so that's all that matters. And honestly, I'm kind of glad because it taught me a lot, it really did. Like, I learned so much more from my failures than from my successes. So don't ever like get upset if you keep failing. Like, you will get it, you guys. You just have to keep practicing. And unfortunately, this art form like requires a lot of hands-on practice. You can't learn by just watching videos. You have to actually do it yourself. Okay, so don't get discouraged. And when you're tilting, if you don't want to like lose certain parts, you can't just tilt one direction. You kind of have to go like back and forth and like walk the paint to where like you want it to go, if that makes sense. Hoping it does. Does in my mind. I'm back. And then we're gonna look at it and see what we like, what we don't like, if I want to add some like swipes or anything through it. I think I like it for the most part. Which, yeah, I know that's weird hearing me say that. Especially if you've seen my last video. I really kind of struggled a little with this one. Don't like this ginormous gold cell, honestly, so I might get rid of that. I know, I'm gonna get hate mail or out there for it. No, just kidding about the hate mail, but you guys know what I mean. When you get more advanced with tilting, you can almost like really control what you tilt off and what you don't. I'm not satisfied, sorry you guys. Start tilting. Actually, you know what? We're gonna give it a couple minutes and then we're gonna start tilting. Because yeah, these cells are little right now. If we give it time, they'll start to get bigger. Yeah, I'm going for a very specific look with this, so that's why, you know, there might be ones that you're like, no, don't pour over it. I mean, because there's been ones that are cool, but I have a very specific look in my mind that I'm going for, so yeah. And I can just like playing with the composition like this, like I'm doing. It's kind of fun. And that, again, will give it movement, which is, I like the movement personally. I think it looks cool. Let's try again. Here we go. We're gonna tilt around again. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm very particular. But sometimes being like that can be a good thing. I swear there are some positives to it. Because like sometimes you get like that look that you're really going for instead of just settling. There are some good things to being a perfectionist, right? You see that dark brownish color? I really like that. And that's from the gold and that dark olive greenish color, like mixing or whatever. So I really like this now. So what happened before is I think number one, I put too much gold in my cup when I was telling you about be careful not to put too much in, it will take over. You saw what I meant. I had all those really big gold cells, and those are really pretty and nice if that's what you're going for, but I didn't want a lot of gold to this. Like I basically am only using the gold as like my cell maker, okay? So I wanted They're to be very light, like touches of gold, okay? It's not like a fail necessarily. The first one, it's just, I'm going for a very specific look. If you watch my first video, you'll see like the end results of the first one, and I wanted it to like go with that. It doesn't have to be the same, and it will not be the same because it's next to impossible to do that with fluid art, but it will be similar, okay? So I wanted a like, you know, sage green, light blue, gray are the main colors, kind of like abstract, organic, like landscape kind of look almost, because that's, you know, basically what the first one was, and that's kind of like my style. So that's what I was going for. So the first one wasn't like a fail. It's just not the right look that I was going for. And I think I really like this one. I will take you down and show you, but I really like these cells over here. These are really cool. And right here. And I've been liking just doing little like abstract like swipes through it kinda, and like dragging the paint like you saw me do. I don't know, I've been liking doing that. And I think this came out good. I don't know. What do you guys think? So this is part 2 of 3. After I'm done with these, I'm probably gonna be doing something with greens because I have a bunch of green left over from like when I scraped my table from these, and like just different, I tried different shades of green and they just didn't work out. So yeah, it took me a long time to get to this color that works. So yeah, there's a lot of playing around in fluid art, so like take that into consideration when you're doing commissions, because they can really take a lot of time and work and effort, and make sure that you are charging correctly. This is just for my sister, so I didn't really, you know, I charged her less than I would a normal person, you know, but yeah. They can really be challenging at times because this type of art form it's very hard to get the same result twice. Very hard. Even if you do the same colors and consistency, there's so many things that play a factor, like how much of that color you put in your cup. You can't really measure it per se, and I don't really like painting that way personally. That's just me though. But let me know in the comments what you think about this. I do show little previews of what I'm working on my social media. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook if you ever want to follow me there. But I think you really like it, okay? Okay, you guys, so here it is. Here's the finished result. I'm gonna take you down and show you, but I think I really like it. Thank God, only 2 attempts this time. Not too bad. Not 3 like the last one. The cells I really liked that I was talking about right here. Okay. I really like it. It's not like too much cells and too much gold or too much of anything, honestly. It's all kind of balanced. Okay, so here it is. I'd love to know what you think of this in the comments. And thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for supporting me. And I hope to see you next time on Nadine Michelle Art. Bye.